welcome back to the channel. So thanks so much for being here, and this week's video is going to be all about the cozy meals. So we're going to be making a apple, cinnamon, and pumpkin spice oatmeal, which is so good, and then you'll have leftovers for afterward. So this oatmeal is super easy to make, only has a few ingredients, and it makes a really nice portion so that you have so much extra for after. And this apple, cinnamon, and pumpkin spice, because I add pumpkin spice, but if you don't like pumpkin spice, you don't need to add it. And then also I'm making a kale soup, because you will see in the video that I have a ton of kale still growing in the backyard. So I decided that I was going to make a kale soup. I've been doing that a lot just to use it up. And yeah, it's full of very easy ingredients that you can find anywhere if you don't have anything still growing in your garden. It is very accessible to everybody because you can use any green. It doesn't have to be kale. Whatever you have on hand, it could be spinach. Just use a whole whack of that. And then, rice most people have at home. So yeah, you can modify the recipe according to your needs. Don't feel like you need all of these ingredients, even though there's just a few. Maybe you can't find something, it's not a big deal. Substitute for something else and it will be fine. Thanks again for all of the subscribers and for all of the people that have left comments and engaged in the videos. I really appreciate it. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so, and that way you don't miss any upcoming videos and content. Again, thanks again to all of the old subscribers and the new subscribers. Welcome aboard. Thanks so much for the kind comments and for the engagement in the community. I really appreciate it. Okay, so enough of my rambling. Let's just get into the video. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thanks so much for being here. I really appreciate you coming and joining me every week for a new video. So this week's video is going to be all about the cozy recipes because the weather's getting colder and pretty much a lot of us are craving these types of foods lately. The two recipes that I'll be doing in this week's video are so easy to make, and they will provide you with a lot of leftovers, which is great because then that will keep you on track and you won't be tempted to eat things that are going to bring you further from your goals instead of keeping you on track. So this recipe is a fall apple oatmeal. So I do use gala apples and pink ladies the most in my house, but use whatever apples you have on hand, whatever you prefer. And I leave the skin on just because I like the skin, but if you don't like the skin on your apples, then peel them beforehand and then chop them up. And I'm also using a pumpkin spice, and if you're not into that, just use a regular cinnamon or nutmeg, whatever it is that you prefer. But because we're in the fall flavors these days, I figured that would be a nice little addition. So I just chop that up and then I'm just going to throw it into the pot with the oatmeal. And I'm using steel cut oats because I buy that in bulk because it's the cheapest and it is the healthiest version of oats that you can buy on the market because it hasn't been processed the way like the flat oats have been. Although I do still buy those because I use them for baking a lot. But these are great for oatmeal. I really enjoy them, and I also blend them up and make a flour with them as well. So I'm just popping in the apples, I'm putting in the pumpkin spice, the oatmeal, and then I'm going to use water. So if you wanted to, you could use apple juice and that will kick up the flavors a notch. But because I'm just trying to make the simplest version of this porridge, this oatmeal, whatever it is that you want to call it, I'm just going to use water, and that will also keep my calorie density down, and that way my porridge will actually be less calories versus if I added all the juice in. And I'm putting enough water where it's hitting the almost halfway mark in my pot, but use the amount that you prefer. It depends on how thick you like your oatmeal. I like it more on the runny side, so just keep that in mind. And I top mine with a little bit more of cinnamon or the pumpkin spice. That's how I like to do it, but we did add it when we were cooking, so it's not necessary. And enjoy. Super easy. So I decided to make a homemade hot chocolate, and I'm just using very few ingredients. I just have vanilla and a sugar-free sweetener that is made with monk fruit, And I found this at HomeSense, but I'm sure you can find it at many different stores and health stores as well. And of course my oat milk, because I feel like oat milk works the best in drinks like this. I usually use oat milk, that's my favorite. And yeah, just, these simple ingredients, and we're gonna whip up some yummy hot chocolate. So I'm just getting a small pan and I'm adding my milk, and I have the heat on a medium heat at the moment until it gets, nice and bubbly, and then I will turn it off. So yeah, just pouring in the oat milk. I feel like oat milk gets really creamy and I love the consistency, so that's why I prefer to use the oat milk, but use whatever you have on hand. So there's 3 cups of that oat milk going in. And then I eyeball it, but just a drizzle of the pure vanilla extract, and that's going to give it such a yummy flavor. I know it's very expensive, but a little bit goes a long way, and you just have to buy that bottle and you'll have it for a really long time. And then of course the cocoa. So I just got a 1/4 cup of the cocoa, and just make sure it is a sugar-free version, and there's no additives put into it. It's just the cacao powder, and that's it. And then I'm just adding some of that sweetener in. You can add maple syrup. I do use maple syrup as well as an alternative, but because I found this and it's a sugar-free sweetener and the main ingredient is monk fruit, I decided to give it a try. And so yeah, I'm just mixing it up. As it heats up, it will be a lot easier to mix, and you can just whisk it. Okay, so time to add it to your mug, and here I go, just adding it in. It's nice and warm. And then totally optional, but if you want, you can put whipped cream in it just to give it, that extra flavor and creaminess and sweetness. So this is a coconut based one that I have. It's not really like the regular whipped creams. It's like thicker, and I guess it would be like a Cool Whip, if anything. But this is a vegan version, and it's really, really tasty. But again, it's like a treat. So if you want to add a little bit of that, then go ahead and enjoy. So this hot chocolate will taste really good with or without the whipped cream. The whipped cream is just an added little oomph to the hot chocolate, but if you don't want to add it in, you don't have to. It is really, really tasty. I totally love this hot chocolate. It is so delicious and so creamy, and it also got the thumbs up from the kids. So if they approve, then it must taste really good. So now I'm going to head out because I need to cut some kale to make my soup. I have a ton of kale, as you can see. It's still abundantly growing in the backyard. It's in perfect condition. The bugs haven't even gotten to the kale at all, and it's just growing like trees. So I've been using it a lot in soups, and I've been using it a lot for wraps, for veggie wraps, and it's just working out perfectly. And I think I'm going to have kale for quite a while still. So I cut a lot because it will wilt down quite a bit in the pot. And I'm using 500 grams of this frozen broccoli. I do use this mix quite a bit. I do buy them frozen from Costco, and they're really handy to have. And I'm just giving my kale a quick rinse, and then I'm going to tear it off the stem and pop it right in. If you don't have one of these pressure cookers, don't sweat it. Just make it in a large pot. You can totally make this soup in a normal pot. You don't need all this fancy stuff. I just happen to be obsessed with them, and I cook pretty much everything in them. I can pretty much live without my stove. I do really think that they're a great investment just because they save you so much time and you can make so many things in them. But that's just my opinion, and you don't have to have this brand. Any brand will do. They all do the same job. I just like how this one, will not scratch. Sometimes the ceramic coating will scratch, so this one will last you a long time. And I'm just throwing in spices. So as you can see, I'm adding in what I prefer, and I'm showing you the amounts, but you add whatever you prefer, whatever you have on hand. This is just what I'm adding, and I feel like my soup turned out really, really well with these seasonings. So if you want to do the same, I think it would work out perfectly for you too. So yeah, I'm just adding that in, giving it a quick mix, and putting water in, and this wild rice mix. So I like adding rice to this soup, but you can also add potatoes chopped up and that would work perfectly fine. Whatever you have. I like this mix and it comes from Costco. I'm not sure if anybody else carries it, but I've only seen it there. And honestly, the soup is phenomenal and I think it's largely part to this amazing rice because it has such a great mix of the different types of rice and it works so well. So I like adding it. But like I said, potatoes will work perfectly. And if you don't have either, it doesn't matter. The soup will still be fine without rice or potatoes. Just don't complicate it. It doesn't need to be complicated. So I'm setting it for 10 minutes and it cooked perfectly. And this is what it looks like after I released the valve and opened it up. Super healthy and super easy to make. So I also like to add collards to this instead of the kale if that's what I have. But because I have so much kale that I need to use, I've been using kale in pretty much all my soups lately. So yeah, I'm just adding it to my bowl. I'm definitely going to enjoy it. It is such a phenomenal soup and I really like how it makes enough that you have a little bit left over and you can keep it in the fridge, and that will keep you on track by having these healthy meals in the fridge so that if you're in a pinch or you need to bring it for work, you've got it already there and you know that you are pumping your body full of nutrition. So that's it, guys. Super easy recipes. It doesn't have to be complicated. Thanks so much for everyone who subscribes to my channel, and if you haven't already, please consider doing so. That way you don't miss any upcoming content. Thanks so much for the lovely comments, guys. It really makes my day. And for all of you in Canada like me, have a very happy Thanksgiving and enjoy your time with your loved ones and stay healthy, everyone.